Hello promoters, my name is Grandpa Choco and welcome to the Solo Promoter YouTube channel, the channel that helps you become a better solo promoter. Before we go any further, be sure to subscribe, be sure to tell a friend. We would love to have more folks here on the channel sharing in the fun that is playing wrestling RPG games. Well, we are going to answer a question today with a whole discussion. And before I begin, I do want to say these are the ideas that I have brainstormed. These are not the right ideas. These are not the wrong ideas. Very well, they may be the wrong ideas. But what I'm saying is these are just my ideas. And I am not some sort of authority or anything. I'm just someone who has been playing wrestling RPGs for a long time and having a lot of fun doing it. Now, today, we're going to be talking about the general topic we're going to be talking about is the Filsinger Games Champions of the Galaxy or Legends of Wrestling lines of wrestling RPGs. But what we're going to talk about today can be used for many different other wrestling RPGs as well. This topic actually comes from a question that Joseph sent in, and Joseph said, my question is, when you start a Fed, how do you determine the champions? Do you start with a tournament, or do you just let them wrestle, and after a while, the two wrestlers with the best record wrestle for the belt? And that is a fantastic question. So today we are going to talk about how you can go about determining your first champion. Now, as I said, there are many different ways to do this. I just kind of brainstormed a list of things here that we're going to take a look at, but I'm sure that there are other ones. And if you have one, drop it in the comments below. That would be awesome. Now, the first one, Joseph said himself, and that is to hold a tournament. Every single Fed that I've done, my Legends Fed, my Champions of the Galaxy Fed, any other Fed that I've done has started with a tournament. Just a single elimination, double elimination, however you want to do it, but a tournament nonetheless. And that's to crown your first champ. I will say, when I started my Legends of Wrestling Fed, and actually when I did Champions as well, I let there be disqualifications and countouts. And so I think my Champions of the Galaxy, my first champ, which I believe was Greg the Hammer Valentine, he won because other people had gotten disqualified and he basically got a bye into the championship. So if I went back and if I replayed that again, I would make the matches in the tournament no DQ, no countout. And you could even say like the first round, DQs and countouts will be allowed, maybe even the second round as well, but once you get into the finals, there's no DQs, no countouts, just so you have like an official winner. And that's kind of how, when there are Galacticon tournaments for Filsinger Games, they kind of do that. In the opening rounds, there can be DQs, but then as you get into the final rounds, no DQs. So a tournament, that is, I would say, the majority of promoters, I'm going to go on a limb and say the majority of the promoters who are playing started with a tournament, because I think it's even in the original handbook that says have a tournament to crown your first champ. I don't know. But I'm sure a lot of people have done a tournament to start things off. One thing I wanted to say is check out Challonge, if I'm saying that right, .com. It's like challenge, but with an O. CHALLONGE.com. It's a free website where you can just create your own brackets, and you can generate a bracket for free. You don't have to sign up or anything, but if you log in, it doesn't cost any money. If you log in, then you can track tournaments. So I did create an account there, and I do track tournaments through there. But anyway, challenge.com is a place where you can go to track your tournaments. Now, the next way you can determine your first champ is round robins. This is where you take a certain number of wrestlers. Now, this little graphic here says team, but I just did a quick search for round robin, layout, and this is what I came up with. And basically, a round robin is any certain number of wrestlers, or it could be tag teams or whatever. They all fight each other, and then at the end, when everybody in the round robin, are they called tournaments? But the round robin, when everyone has fought not everybody else, then the person with the best record is the champion. Sometimes you will have, depending on the number of wrestlers and how the win-losses go, sometimes you will have a, two wrestlers with the same record at the top, and then you obviously have those two fight, and then you can determine your champ that way. I've run some round robins. I think when we were doing... what was that? The Infinity Challenge? What was the Champions of the Galaxy thing with Abraz and Dialectus? And I think it was the Infinity Challenge. Whatever. I used a round robin thing so that all the teams could face all the teams and determine the winner at the very end of the year. So round robins are fun. They do take a little bit more time and a little bit more work than a normal tournament. But I will say that once you have your round robin done, you'll have some pretty good, depending on how many, if there's only 4 wrestlers, then there's only 4 wrestlers. But if you did a round robin with like 10 wrestlers or 12 wrestlers or even more, by the end of it, you would have a pretty good ranking of, all your wrestlers and a good initial ranking in addition to your champ. You can go to printyourbrackets.com. That's where I got this for free, this little 6-team round robin paper that you can print out, but they have other sizes and other layouts as well. The next, there's also, I wanted to say, some online round robin generators. I don't have any listed here for websites listed, but you can also just search round robin generator and you will find websites that will help you put that together. Now, another way you can decide who is going to be your first champ is to use a battle royal. Battle royals are popular. I will say I would not use a battle royal to determine my first champ. I love battle royals. I run battle royals in my Legends Fed pretty often, just because if you read a lot of results of classic wrestling federations, a lot of times they would just throw everybody on the card into a battle royal. So I think that's fun, and I do run several battle royals throughout the year. But here's what I'll say. They're fine for, just for fun and for saying that there's a cash prize or whatever, but you never know who's going to win. And so if you do a battle royal, you never know who is going to win, and it could be somebody who necessarily you might think it would not be a great champion. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking about the last battle royal I ran in one of my Legends Feds, and it came down to Nikolai Volkov and Boris Zukov. I believe were the final 2 people, and Boris Zukov won. Now, if that was for a title, would Boris Zukov be, the strong champ? I don't know. Maybe. I'm not bagging on Boris Zukov, but he's not someone you think of when you think of world champion. So that's the only little warning there. Another idea is to have a battle royal until you're left with 2 people, and then those 2 people have a regular match to determine the championship. That's another way to do that as well. But again, highly unpredictable. You may wind up with a champ you don't like, but you never know. You can go to cotgonline.com if you have access to the digital sets. If you purchase some of the digital sets, they have a battle royal simulator. So instead of rolling out the battle royal yourself, you can use the battle royal simulator on COTG Online, but you will need the sets that all the different wrestlers are in, or you will need to create a character to create your own wrestlers and get enough sets that you can do that. So anyway, there you go. That is a battle royal. Now, the next way that you could determine a champion is let the stats decide. Now, this is what Joseph was talking about in his message, is you let everybody wrestle, and then you take the first, the 2 top contenders, and you have them battle for the belt. Great way to do it. And the other thing is you can let your wrestlers wrestle, a certain number of matches, and then use those standings to seed the tournament. You can, if you're going to run a tournament, you can do that as well. So you have the top 2 guys apart from each other, and you seed the tournament that way. I did make here on the YouTube channel a simple ranking spreadsheet video. So if you go check out that video, you can make your own simple ranking spreadsheet. So you can rank your wrestlers and you can enter in their wins and losses. losses and all that kind of stuff. And that's free. You can totally go check that out. So that'll help you keep track of your stats. And the other thing I wanted to just throw out there is that when, you've had your wrestlers wrestle for a certain number of cards or whatever, and then then you have your top contenders. You could just have a match between the first top two, but you could also have a fatal four-way between the top four. You could have a triple threat match between the top three. So there's different ways to do that as well. Is you can break it up that way. So it's not just one of these two guys. You could have the top four guys battle it out. Now, if you're going to be ranking your wrestlers and you're going to let the stats decide, here is a fun thing that I do in my Champions of the Galaxy Fed. It's called a ranking gauntlet. So what you do is you have all your wrestlers wrestle, and then you rank them, like using the spreadsheet from the other video. I'll put a link to that spreadsheet video in the show notes for this episode. And then you have, let's say you have 10 wrestlers, and then they are ranked from 1 to 10, right? Then you have number 10 fight number 9. And then the winner moves up the ladder. So whoever wins that one will fight number 8. Whoever wins that one will fight number 7. And what's a lot of fun about that is usually the person who's at the very, very bottom is not going to, unless it's a monster card of somebody who just entered your Fed, is not going to climb all the way up to the top. But what is a lot of fun is sometimes you'll have streaks. And so you'll see somebody, and the way I run these is I run them all in one night. So I do have some fatigue carry over from match to match to simulate, being worn out after these matches. But it's a lot of fun, and then you'll have someone go on like a 4-match winning streak or a 5-match winning streak and a 6-match winning streak. And so even if they don't make it to the very top, and then at the top, you could have whoever is in the last match, they battle for the belt. But I always do whoever has like the best streak, they will get a title shot down the road. So that is a fun thing I like to do. I don't think I've ever I probably have determined a championship using the ranking gauntlet in my Champions of the Galaxy Fed, now that I'm thinking about it. But it was probably not the Galaxian Championship. It was probably a interplanetary or women's championship or something like that. But a ranking gauntlet, super awesome, fun thing, even if you're not using it to determine a champion. Now, the final way is you can just choose a champ. It's your Fed. So you can just pick a wrestler who is a champ, who is the champ of your Fed, and they start as the champion. It's I've listened to a lot of people talk about when they first started playing Champions of the Galaxy, and on the back of the original Champions of the Galaxy book, there was a sample card, and so people used that card as their first card. So Star Warrior and Thanos were in the main event, and then whoever won that match became the first champ. Or you could just choose a champ. I've heard of people doing that too. You're starting a new Fed. You are the promoter, so you can choose a champ. You can decide who you want the belt on first. Just pick your favorite guy or the guy you think would be a great champ. I mean, again, you are the promoter. Now, I do want to say that these methods will work for other titles as well. Tag team division, your women's division, your hardcore deathmatch division. Although probably for the hardcore death matches, you probably want to have hardcore or deathmatch rules. That only makes sense. But they do work for these other titles as well. So you can use these different ways to determine your champs when you're starting out your Fed. I love the idea of starting a new Fed because it's always fun to start with a clean slate, decide who the champs are, and then get going with the playing. Are there other ways? I'm sure there are other ways, and let me know what those ways are in the comments. If you have a different way or if you have ideas on some of the stuff I said, I would absolutely love it if you would comment down below and let me know. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe, please tell a friend, and if you have other topics you would like me to cover, I would love to hear them. Just leave a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this answered your question, Joseph. I hope it gave everybody some stuff to think about, and I would love to hear your thoughts as well. I will talk to you soon right here on the Solo Promoter YouTube channel.